I'm Chef Frank, this is Protocooks. Let's talk turkey. Oh, and gravy. This is about a 10-pound bird. You know, normally people do 20, 30-pound birds. They do really big turkeys, right, for Thanksgiving. Feed a lot of people. And I find that the breast meat is always dry and the thighs are always, the thighs and legs are always delicious. My method of cooking a turkey ensures that all parts of the turkey are tender and juicy. How do you do that, Chef Frank, you might ask? This is how we do it. I butcher the turkey. I take it apart. I take the breasts off. I take the wings, legs, and thighs off. I roast the legs, thighs, and wings together. And then I'll roast the turkey breast separate. And this way, because they cook at different rates, I get a really nice tender leg, thigh, and wing combo, and I get a perfectly cooked breast. I'm a chef. I'm not Norman Rockwell. I'm not too concerned about the bird being on the table, beautifully brown. I'm more concerned that I have great flavor and my turkey isn't dry. We're gonna roast the turkey today. We're also gonna make some gravy from the drippings. And this is what we need. I have about a 10, 11-pound turkey here. You can go up or down from there, whatever you like. The method kind of stays the same. About 3 pounds of mirepoix with garlic, so onions, garlic, celery, and carrots. Kind of like a half a bunch or 4 or 5 sprigs of fresh thyme, 1 bay leaf, about a cup of all-purpose flour, half a cup of olive oil, about 2 quarts of turkey stock. I make turkey stock, but if you don't have turkey stock, just use chicken stock. And of course, salt and pepper. My method does take a little more skill because we're gonna be butchering this turkey. And I think that you should challenge yourself with this. It's really not all that hard, and I'll go through the steps. One thing I want to talk about before we start cutting this bird up is how to defrost, right? A lot of turkeys nowadays come frozen, and that's totally cool. If you get a fresh one, more power to you, but for frozen turkeys, you want to let them defrost slowly in the fridge. You never just want to put them on the counter and let them defrost on the counter. It's either under cold running water or in the fridge. And usually a big turkey takes quite a bit of days, right? So I would plan a week ahead and put the turkey in a fridge and let it defrost in the fridge. Put something under it in case it starts to leak. Let's get to it. First thing I want to do is take the turkey, put it on my board. I'm going to get a few paper towels. And just put some paper towels down because I just took this out of the package and it has some residual moisture on it, right? I'm gonna take the neck out. Be sure on the front of the turkey here, you always have the giblets. Get that out. I've seen a lot of people roast the turkey with the giblet bag still in there. Sometimes it's in the cavity, but a lot of times it's in the front of the bird. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dry the bird down, pat it down, get on the inside. Just try and get a lot of the moisture off. The drier the skin, usually the crispier it is, okay? Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the wings off, right? Just find the joint, take the wings off. I'm gonna roast the wings. Let me get rid of my paper towels. So I have one tray for all my kind of bones and scraps, and then I'm gonna have the other tray for the things that I'm actually gonna roast. So the wings go to the side, okay? Next thing I want to do is you'll see there's a lot of skin here between the leg and the breast. And I want to try and cut this skin as close to the leg as possible, right? Because then that gives me some good coverage on my breast, right? And I'm going to take the leg and the thighs off. Okay, so we cut the skin close to the breast, pull it out, right? And then we're going to take the legs off. Okay, you get into that joint. There's a little joint there, get into that joint and pull it off. Okay, you can see even though I've defrosted my bird, I still have a little iciness in there, right? Just cut straight down here, you'll hit the joint. You'll see there's a joint there. Pop that joint out and you take the leg and thigh off. Okay, leg and thigh. I'm gonna show you how to fix those in a sec. Next thing I'm going to want to do is cut off the breasts, right? There's the bone here right in the center is the breastbone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut down the breastbone on either side of the breastbone. And then just basically the back of my knife rests on the carcass. And we're going to pull the breast off. Now again, this kind of doesn't make it as pretty or as majestic as that bird looks on the table, But honestly, I think that for me as a chef, flavor here is king, and I don't want a dry turkey breast. So you can see I have a beautiful turkey breast off the bone. I can turn it around. Follow the carcass, right? Take off the breast. Cool. So I have two beautiful turkey breasts now. Okay, and we're gonna get to those in a minute. For the rest of the bird, we take off the wing joints. I think these are delicious. I'm gonna put those on my roast pile, okay, because I'm gonna roast that and serve it. And then I'm left with the carcass. And what's great about this is now I can make turkey stock, right? I have the neck, I have the giblets, which I'm gonna roast probably some of the giblets here, but then I can take this, break it up, roast it off, and make a beautiful turkey stock for my stuffing. The turkey is butchered, right? And I think that you could probably get your butcher to do this if you're afraid to do it yourself. Ask your butcher, tell them you want it broken down into parts. For me, this is the way to do it, okay? So what I'm gonna do first here to just kind of get this going is I have my mirepoix, right? My mirepoix is gonna go on my tray, right? And what the mirepoix allows me to do is this, instead of a rack, this is gonna keep my legs, thighs, and wings off of the bottom of the pan and keep it from steaming. So this is in place of a rack. It's also going to flavor my gravy, okay? You can notice that I'm using sheet trays for this. This is what I have in the house. I really don't have a roasting pan, so I pretty much do everything on sheet trays, you know? If you don't have a roasting pan, it's not a big deal. You can use sheet trays. Just make sure there's a little bit of a lip on them because there will be some juice collecting in this, okay? So next thing I wanna do is take my legs and thighs apart, and I just feel around for the joint, right? And I cut my legs and thighs apart because I want them to cook separately. So I have my legs, thighs, some wings on top of my mirepoix, resting really nicely, skin side up because I want to get the skin nice and crispy. I'm going to take a little bit of my olive oil. I'm going to put it over the top of my thighs. Going to give them a good rub down, right? Because some of this fat will help start browning. And then I'm just going to take some salt. And I'm going to season this really well. I got my mirepoix down, my legs, thighs, and wings, oiled up, seasoned with some salt. I'm going to take the herb and bury them underneath, right? I don't want them to burn, but I do want the vegetables and the juice for our gravy to have some herb flavor, okay? Touch more salt. And these go into a 350-degree oven. Just remember, the reason I'm putting these in first is because the legs and thighs take longer than the breast to cook. First thing I want to do is get them on a paper towel and just kind of dab them dry. Just makes it easier to work with. And we'll get kind of a crisper product at the end. For our turkey breasts, we're going to tie them into a roast, right? Because we're going to treat it like a roast. And the reason we tie roasts up or truss chickens and turkeys is to have them cook more uniformly, right? What it does is it ties everything. We have a little thin end. It brings everything together so it roasts more evenly. I have some butcher twine, so I have a nice roll of butcher twine here. I cut out a nice long length, right? And I start, I mean, you can start on either side, but usually I start on the skinnier side. I'm gonna tie it into a knot, nice and tight. You don't want to tie it so tight that it cuts into the meat. And I'm gonna leave a little bit of twine hanging off. So I have a nice long piece of twine this way, and then I have a little hanger there, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the twine, put it over the top of my hand with my hand spread out, and do like a little bit of a twist, right? And what this is gonna do is make us run the roast with one piece of string, right? So over the top of my hand, give it a little twist, right? And every time I do this, I can pull it just a little tighter and forward, right? Pull it tight, pull it forward, over the top of my hand, twist, pull it tight, right? So now I have my top side done. I flip it over, and I take this twine, and I find my other twine here. I go over the top of that. I push it under, feed it through, pull it tight, over the top and under, feed it through, over the top and under, feed it through, and I got one more over the top and under, feed it through. So it's nice and tight there. I have the little piece of string that I had, or twine that I had left over. And I'm going to finish the loop here. Tie my knot. And cut off the excess. This is going to give us a nice, even roast. Okay? So here I have them. Okay, I have them on a rack. I want to keep them off the bottom of the tray so they don't steam. I want air to circulate under them so they get nice and crisp on top. I'm going to wait until my thighs are in there for about a half hour, and then I'm going to season these up and throw them in the oven. It's just some olive oil, right? Rub that oil in. Hit this with a little bit of black pepper. Season it really well with some salt. And I'm going to get both sides. Before I put these breasts in, I'm going to turn the oven up to 400. It's at 350 right now with the thighs and the legs in there. And I want to start it at a higher temperature so this starts to get nice and golden brown. And we're going to let it cook like that until the skin is brown. And once the skin is brown, we're going to lower it down to about 350 and let it finish cooking at 350. The turkey is out. The bird I used is a small bird. It is only a 10-pound bird. So the times may vary for you. Okay, so all told, the whole bird took about an hour and 10 minutes. Our turkey's off resting because we don't want to slice the breasts right away. We want them to rest a little and let them kind of equalize. So the meat kind of shrinks up and gets really tight. And if you let it rest, the juices will redisperse. But right now we have to deal with the pans that have all the drippings on them, okay? So what I like to do is take a little bit of chicken stock or turkey stock. I have turkey stock. And I put it on the pans and I let that soak into all the drippings. So I think I started out with 2 quarts of stock. I heated it up. I'm going to get in there and try and scrape off all the bits off of my pan. So there's all this nice caramelized stuff. If it's burnt, don't use it, but if it's just really dark caramelized, that's good. This spatula might be too soft, so I'm just going to use a spoon. Get in there and get all those really nice bits out. That's called the fond. Scrape off all those brown bits, and this is going to go back into the pot with our turkey stock. Okay, stock here, and get all these brown bits and that juice into here. And that's going to form the base of our gravy. Right, get off as much as you can. Everything into the pot. This goes into our pot. And let's finish our gravy. I have all my turkey stock, all the drippings from the pan in a pot, and I'm letting it simmer. I'm going to do this the way that my mom and my grandmother used to do it. Normally you'll see like chefs maybe make a roux or, you know, make a slurry or a beurre mani. A roux is just butter and flour that you cook. A slurry is cornstarch and water, and a beurre mani is butter and flour that you rub together. I just kind of go the way that my mom and my grandmother did, is they usually got like a cup of AP flour, and they put cold water in it. Now, people are going to say, oh, chef, this is going to make lumps. Yeah, it's going to make lumps, but I'm straining this, so I'm not too worried about lumps, right? And that's why I use cold water, because cold water dissolves the flour a little bit better. And I just think it turns into a really nice gravy. So if you want to use the other methods, that's absolutely fine. But this is just the way that I've been doing it for years, and it turns out really good, okay? So you just whisk it together with a spoon till you get kind of like a heavy cream consistency. And this goes in. I might not need it all. I'm going to put a bunch in. I put about half of it in now. And I'm going to let it come to a simmer. Maybe I'll just put a little bit more. So I kind of have like a paste, a very thin paste of flour and water. I'm going to let this come to a simmer and let it cook until the flour cooks out, right? So if we just strain it right now, the flour is going to be a little raw tasting. So we just want this to simmer for about 5-10 minutes on medium-low heat, and we'll season it up and strain it. Okay, this has happily been simmering away for about 5 to 7 minutes. I'm going to season it up. A nice pinch of salt. Some nice cracked black pepper. Just give it a stir. I got a beautiful consistency with this. Another little bit of salt. Now there's a lot of different things you can do with this. I made a very simple gravy here. If you want to add some vinegar to this, you can add a bunch of different stuff. You can add wine. You can deglaze your pans with wine. It's totally up to you. I just wanted to go fairly simple just to show the technique. Good. I'll shut my heat off, and now I'm just going to strain it into my bowl through my strainer. Okay, I'm not pushing the vegetables through. I don't really want those vegetables to go through. If we've done our job right at this point, the vegetables gave up all their flavor to the gravy. Okay, so we're going to strain it out. Right, I can just give it a tap. If I give this a tap, it helps push it through without actually pushing the veggies through. And now I'm just going to put this in fairly quick. Make sure you make a mess and get everything everywhere. The thing I love about gravy is if there's extra, you can always freeze it. But you'll find that when you cook your turkey this way, you don't need as much gravy because it's really moist and tender, right? People tend to put a lot of gravy on things that are dry, so you probably won't need as much gravy. I always save this and I put it on fries. Delicious. The turkey breast is rested. We took off the butcher's twine. Now it's time to slice. And this is where this method pays off, okay? We slice the turkey breast and it's not dry. You can still see, look at all the juice coming out. It's still super moist and it's gonna be delicious, right? So instead of having a dry breast and not dry legs and thighs, because we do this method, we can see that our breast is still nice and moist. Okay? Look at this. If you look, it's super juicy, not dry, right? Super juicy, not dry. That's what we want, okay? So I'm gonna plate this. I'm gonna put a little gravy on the plate and we'll give it a taste. Gonna give it a taste with my gravy. This is how turkey should be. Not dry, juicy, a really nice flavorful gravy, and some beautiful dark meat. Let me take a bite of this leg. This is the best way to do a turkey. Fight me. That's it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Hit the little bell to get notifications when we have a new video. We have merch, Need Salt t-shirts, I Control the Salt t-shirts. We have a Patreon account. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting us, making videos about food and eating. We also have a P.O. box if you ever want to send us any correspondence in the link below. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Chef Frank. This is Protocooks. Have a good one.